Hello lovelies, this is Megan, the creator behind Little Hot Tamale, and today we have a very fun tutorial. We are going to make an envelope flip book. It can either be used as a mini album or a Penpal letter. Okay, so let's get started. You will need an envelope. I have this one available in my Etsy shop. It also includes other envelopes and a mini album. Okay, and you will need some cardstock. I'm using 110-pound paper. But you can always use your favorite paper, like watercolor paper or mixed media, depending on what medium you're going to be working with. Okay, so now I'm just tracing out my envelope. You will need 3 of these. Now it's time for the fun part. We're going to decorate our envelopes. Okay, so I'm using acrylic paint, just basic apple barrel, but if you have gouache or watercolor, please feel free to use those. Okay, so please turn your envelope so that the blunt end is facing you, and then you're just going to do vertical paint strokes and horizontal paint strokes. Try to keep them parallel. They don't need to be exactly parallel, but this just gives you an idea of what direction to go. Alright, and then you're kind of forming little plus signs here and there, just like this. Now, you don't have to do exactly what I'm doing. I'm just giving you an example of a possible pattern that you can create. Okay, so for the next pattern, we're going to make little dots or circles, and I'm just using the end of a glue stick. Yes, you heard that correctly, a glue stick. You can also use an end of an eraser. That also works very well. All right, my main focus right now is to create clusters with the dots. And I want to focus on areas that have a lot of white space. Now, you don't want to have all the purple in one area. You just want to have it throughout the envelope. Alright, so right now I have some on the left, some in the middle, some on the side. This will create a beautiful pattern when the envelope is actually assembled. If you're following along, you should take this opportunity to fill the entire page with your fun design. This will enable you to create matching embellishments for your project. Okay, so next we're going to create clusters of dashes. Like before, we're going to find areas of white space and fill it up. For me, I like the dashes to go in the direction toward where the pink lines intersect. If you're following along, what color combination are you using? Please let me know in the comments. I personally like this color combo right now because it reminds me of spring, and I'm so ready for spring after a long winter. Alright, we're on our final step. We're going to create clusters of tiny dots. To achieve this look, we're going to use the end of a pencil, or you can use a toothpick. Just like the previous steps, try to find areas of white space and fill it in. When you're happy with your design, please cut out your envelopes. They don't have to be perfect because we still have to paint the back side. Okay, so we're going to focus on the top half of the envelope and the middle section because that's the only part that's going to show once we assemble the envelope. Okay, so for me, the rounded end is the top half and the blunt end is the bottom half of the envelope. I really like the yellow design, so that is what I decided to put on my back side. Of course, you can get really fancy and repeat the same design that was on the front. When your paint is dry, neatly cut out your envelopes and fold in the sides. I like to use a bone folder to make my creases nice and crisp. Please take your time because you want your ends to line up when you make your creases. I was a little off on mine, but it's okay. It still turned out. Okay, so now we're going to take 2 of our envelopes and we're going to make 1 additional crease. For my envelope, I created a gusset that was about 1/4 of an inch from the top crease. So as a reminder, the top end is the rounded side. You can also make your crease closer to the original crease if your envelope is a lot smaller. Okay, I just wanted to remind you, you're only doing this to 2 envelopes. You'll have 1 with 1 crease and 2 with 2 creases. And the 2 creases are going to be at the top part of your envelope. This next step is completely optional. If you would like to use your sewing machine, this is the time to add your stitching. The project on the left is an example of a project with stitching. I went around each envelope twice, and I didn't use glue on the doilies. But for this one, I'm not going to do stitching, and I'm going to glue each doily down with tacky glue. As you can tell, I'm placing all the doilies on at least one crease. I really like the look of it when the envelope is assembled. When your glue is dry, just cut off the excess doily. Okay, it's time to adhere the envelopes. I'm using tacky glue because there is no stitching on these envelopes, but if you did add stitching to your envelopes, I recommend using red tape. Okay, and since I'm using glue, I just weighed them down so I wouldn't have to hold on to them until they dried. This next part is very important. Remember when we made 2 envelopes with 2 creases and 1 envelope with 1 crease? Well, right now we're going to use the 2 envelopes with the 2 creases. And you're just going to place glue on the middle envelope, the one with 2 creases, and add glue to the top part to adhere it to the bottom of the top envelope. When you're gluing the envelopes together, make sure you're aligning the top envelope to the top crease in the second envelope. I provided a little diagram to help because I know the paper's a little busy and it's kind of hard to see. Okay, so the final envelope is a little bit different. This one's going to be placed on top of the middle envelope. I did this because when you close it, the top flap won't be showing on the front. Okay, so do not put glue on the bottom envelope because you will glue your envelope closed because of the blunt end. So I had to wipe the glue off. Just place it on the middle envelope on the bottom flap. Okay, so now it's time to decorate. I'm using my Caturday collection. It's available in my Etsy shop, Little Hot Tamale. This is a digital collection. This allows you to pick and choose what items you want for your particular project. I always get my prints done at Staples on 110-pound paper, actual size. Okay, so back to decorating. I'm using a hot glue gun to adhere all the ephemera pieces. I also decided to add pieces inside of the envelope. I usually don't do that, but I thought it was really cute for this one. Alright, this is a 2-inch vellum circle that's scalloped. And I just used my paper punch for this. I love using vellum because it's perfect for building embellishment clusters. It doesn't distract from the background, but it also adds a little bit of extra visual interest. Oh my goodness, this is my favorite ribbon right now. I use it all the time. I bought it at Hobby Lobby and it can be found in the floral wedding department. There are 4 different colors. I think it's green, aqua, white, and I think a peach color. This is also a must for me. I love these aqua flat back pearls, and of all places, I found these at Dollar Tree. There are a few other color options, but this one's my favorite. Okay, so for this next embellishment cluster, I'm using a 1.5-inch scallop circle. Okay, so I'm just pointing out the doilies on the opposite side. It really doesn't matter, but at the moment, I thought I needed to switch the embellishments to the other side. Okay, so here's a nice tip. If you can't get your thread to have that messy look by just gluing it down, I use terrifically tacky tape and place a little piece on the back and then manually place the thread in little loops. Okay, and I just glued it on. Okay, so I think the like notification bubble that's black is too heavy. Is that what it's called? I don't know what it's called. So I decided to add some purple. Okay, this is a star that is made from a nesting die. So I'm just going to layer that with another star. I used holographic paper for the larger star, and I found it at Michael's, and it's packaged as foil paper. This reminds me, have you watched My Hollow Love on Netflix? Oh, it's such a cute series. Hello! Okay, so this is what our project looks like. I'm just showing you how the gussets work. just like that. Okay, so there are two ways that I'm going to show you how to close your project. Of course, there are other ways, but for today, I'm just going to show you two. Okay, so you can use a ribbon like lace. Just tie a bow like this. Well, that's technically not a bow, but you know what I mean. And number two, I'm using an eyelet setter and a 5/8 of a circle punch. And then I'm going to build up the base with 3 pieces of 110-pound paper. While that dries, I'm going to assemble a bead charm for the baker's twine. For this cluster, I used a handmade tassel. I have a tutorial for this on my YouTube channel, and I'll link it in the description. A large heart bead, and then on the large heart bead, it's placed on a large jump ring. I think it's 8 millimeters or 10. It actually came with the bead. And then on the large jump ring, I'm going to place some seed beads and knot the baker's twine on the large jump ring, just like that. And then I included a tiny jump ring on the mini tassel, and I'm just going to open it and attach it to the large jump ring. And I think I only put 3 or 4 seed beads on the large jump ring. Okay, so back to the closure. Now I'm just marking the center with my 5/8 circle as a guide. Now I punched a hole with the 3 papers that we made earlier. You don't have to use circles. You can use squares or triangles, whatever. Alright, now I'll place an eyelet through both pieces and then through the envelope, and then use your eyelet setter. Okay, just like that. And then the baker's twine. I like to wrap it about 3 times. Got it. This is a little bit too long, but that's okay. And then just wrap it. It'll be nice and snug. If you're using thinner baker's twine, you might only want to do a buildup in the center, like 2 pieces instead of 3 pieces of 110-pound cardstock. If you don't have 110 cardstock, you can use whatever you want. Okay, so here's our final flip through. If you're using this as a Penpal letter, you can add ephemera in the top envelope, a letter in the center one, and scrapbook supplies in the final one. If you're using this as a mini album, you can place photos and pocket cards, all kinds of things in them. Okay, so thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please share with a friend. Toodles!